There we go. I think we've got there on YouTube, and let's just get it going with Facebook as well. So excellent. There we go. So big one today. Do you have a dream or do you have a plan? You know, there's many people who want to achieve things in their lives. I mean, I think we all want to achieve things, have a direction, kind of like, know where we're going, right? But I kind of wonder, what is the point in having a dream, in knowing that you want to achieve something, if you don't have a plan? And I'm going to give you a really, really simple kind of demonstration of exactly what I'm talking about. So I've been working on my health and fitness for a while. I have a number of different diaries. This is the one that I keep for my kind of the big level things, let's say. You see, look, and so the adventure begins, right? And I realized today that I'd taken my foot off the pedal when it comes to health and fitness. Kind of, look, the end of December kicks in and stuff just starts to happen, and it's easy to I'm not going to say forget, because forget is the wrong word, but it's actually very easy to ignore what the priorities are, right? Hi to Fantastic Homes there on Instagram, and walaikum salam to Aisha Muhammad on Facebook. So what happens when you have forgot what your priorities are? When you forgot what your priorities are, I'm going to show you what your diary looks like. It looks like this, right? It's just blank pages. I know I'm showing you for later on in the year, but the thing is, that's the point. Blank pages. When your diary has only got blank pages, of course you're going to forget what your priorities are, because in that situation, all you have is a dream. You don't actually have a plan. If there is something that you want to do, you've got to put it in your diary. I guarantee you, when you take something that you desperately want to achieve and you start thinking about how are you actually going to turn that into a reality, and then you start putting stuff in your diary, I guarantee you, you're going to move forward on that project. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's your health, whether it's your business, whether it's your education, your desire to get married, you name it. I guarantee to you, this thing is going to work for you. But the key thing is you've got to have a plan. Most people, and it's interesting because I sent out an email, gosh, it was just yesterday morning. I mean, I've already had like over 100 replies, and it's very, very rare for me to get such instant responses to an email like that. And literally, when I'm talking about 100 replies, I'm talking about replies, and then I've gone back and they've then asked me questions, and it's gone back and forth. So actually, it's probably gone into a few hundred now. And what's really interesting about that is I asked one specific question, right? And most people have dreams, right? But what most people don't have is they don't have plans. And I find that very, very frustrating, because I'm frustrated for them or for you if you are in a situation where there's something that you want to do and you don't have a plan. Right? Now, you might be thinking, gosh, I don't know anything about project management. I don't know anything about planning. Those things are okay. We'll come to those. We will cover those things. But in the meantime, whatever it is that you want to do in your life, right? You've had to have some form of a plan to get you to where you are now, right? Kind of a little bit flippantly, if you think about, how did you get onto whatever social media channel you're watching this video from? You knew that you wanted to join up, to sign up. You knew that that was your dream, let's say, right? You developed a plan. You completed that. That's it. Job done. Move on. Next thing, right? It's as simple as that when it comes to actually implementing and creating the results for any dream that you have. And look, I do not believe anyone that says that they can't do something, because look, here's the facts, right? I grew up in a council house. We didn't have much money when I was growing up, but I didn't really even have a plan. That's the really, really interesting thing. So I fumbled through some stuff, but you know what? I knew what my end goal was. I knew that I wanted to go to university. I knew that there were certain things that I wanted to achieve. And look, I appreciate it. We're talking about, a couple of decades ago, and it's different now. But today, perhaps rather than saying that the plan is to go to university, for younger people who are watching this, perhaps the plan is to get a career or to get a job or to do something, right? Because you're not just going to sit at home and just like bum around. Come on, that cannot be what you're trying to achieve, right? At the end of the day, everybody, I know that you are here watching this because you don't want to live a life of mediocrity. You're not willing to accept average. That's why you're here. And how do you avoid mediocrity? How do you avoid just kind of like bumbling through life? You have dreams and you turn those dreams into plans. Every person I have ever worked with in my life who has done that, literally, they've had crazy aspirations and dreams and they've made them into a reality. They haven't done them through luck, right? If anyone tells you, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that, luck, blah, blah, forgive me if I come across as being too strong, but that's just plain garbage. There is no such thing as luck. There is sometimes, it's very, very rare, but the majority of the world does not operate on luck. The majority of the world operates on hard work, on getting things done, on putting things into your diary, right? And I'm going to give you a very quick example of something that I did today. So my son and my husband are sitting watching some documentary program about wolves. And I was in the same room and I just thought, okay, fine. I'm interested, but I'm not that interested. I'm now going to work out my exercise plan for the rest of this month, right? I sat down, I kind of thought, okay, these are the commitments that I've got. These are the things that I need to get done. And guess what I did? I put it all in my diary. It's now here. You can see every day, like literally week in, week out, it's in there. I've got all of my exercise plan in here. It's not rocket science, right? I've booked my classes. I know exactly what I'm going to be doing in these different sessions. So that's what, 20 days worth of work, and it took me about 15 minutes because this is important to me, right? And you might be thinking, well, health and fitness is, what's that got to do with the dream? But the thing is, I'll tell you one thing for sure. For every day that I am alive in this world, I want to be healthy. I want to be fit. I want to be able to run for that bus. I want to have the energy and the stamina that I need to get the things done. Otherwise, what's the point? And I'm sure that you agree with that too, right? We all need more energy. You can never get to that space where you're complaining about the level of energy that you have. And if you do, come to me, give me some of your energy, right? It's just never going to happen. And that's why I prioritize my health. So yeah, I've got dreams for my health, but you could do exactly the same thing for anything it is that you want to, for your studies, for your business, for your family life. And it's not actually all that hard to plan. The biggest challenge that you have when it comes to planning is sitting down with that blank piece of paper and staring at it and thinking, okay, how am I going to get this thing done? Right. I'll give you another example of something that many of the people that are watching these lives are it's a challenge that all of us will face. Unless you're always at home or you've got a space to pray in, how do you always make sure that you actually can pray and pray on time? And so Fazana here, you make a really important point about keeping the prioritizing the prayers. I mean, I call those the rocks in your life, right? So you prioritize the prayers, and that does help with time management. But It only helps with time management if you know where you're going to pray. So we had quite an interesting, complex day today where me and my daughter were in different locations. And I'd gone to London Bridge, and I thought, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to find out? Where am I going to pray? So I put up a message on Facebook. People helped me to find a location, and I then knew exactly where it was going to be. So the logistics were sorted, right? And then the time was in the diary. And that's the interesting thing, because you have a dream, right? I then had a plan, and I knew where I was going to implement that plan and how I was going to do it. And the time was in the diary. So it's not always as simple as saying, I know that I need to pray at this set time. You've got to create the environment in order to facilitate that. And you've got to know how you're going to do it, because if you don't know, then you may not actually ever be able to check that off. I hope that makes sense, right? So have your dream, have your, well, actually, I'm going to say, have your dream, create the plan to make it into a reality, right? And keep kind of like assessing yourself against that. But the thing is, the biggest challenge that we have is that I think as a population now, one of the things that's missing is really kind of strong project management skills. People actually don't know how to do the planning anymore. So, for example, if I say to somebody, okay, show me your financial plan, what's your situation when it comes to your income and your outcome? How do you know where you are? Most people at that point, they just want to run away, because they think that they've got a handle of it. But then at the end of the month, they're running out, or the month is not lasting, or the month is lasting longer than the paycheck, if you know what I mean. Why does that happen? Because sometimes you have a dream that you've got this wonderful job, that you've got this lifestyle that you can live as a result of it, and you're actually pushing yourself. You are a kind of pushing the boundaries of one thing or the other. And why that happens is literally, it's because you don't have a plan. It's because you haven't actually sat down and worked out where your money is going and actually looked at exactly what is happening on a weekly, daily, monthly basis. So I want to encourage everyone to have absolutely crazy dreams. Look, whatever it is that you want to do in your life, as long as it's legal and halal and whatever, you can go ahead and you can do it. There is no issue, right? But the things that are going to hold you back, those things you've got to know about. And I'm going to give it to you straight. What will hold you back from your dreams not happening? Number one, your mindset, not believing that you can do it. That's huge. I'm going to do separate lives just covering that, because I'm telling you, when you set yourself a target and you don't believe in it, you're never going to make it happen. But you set yourself a crazy target and you believe that you're going to do it, nothing will come in your way. And when the obstacles come to you, you will fight back because you believe in that dream, right? So the first thing, you have to have the right mindset. The second thing, whatever your kind of crazy dream is, your vision, your targets, whatever they are, you must have a plan. If you don't know what it's going to look like, how you're going to spend your next 3 months actually executing on this thing, chances are, it would. This is why so many people, they set themselves these lovely gold polished New Year's resolutions, and what happens? They end up having them the same year on year on year on year. And you know what the really, really sad thing about that is that sometimes it becomes decade upon decade upon decade. No one should live a life of regret. And if you're in that situation where you set yourself New Year's resolutions years ago and you still got the same ones, hey, look, it's fine. But why not make now the time to change something and actually create that plan that you need and work out how you're actually going to take small step by small step to make that crazy dream that you've got into a reality? And that, I think, is the key thing. And actually, there is a third thing. So you've got to believe in yourself. So you've got to have the right psychology, the right mindset. You've got to have the plan. And then the third thing is persistence. You've got to just keep on going, despite all the adversity, despite all of the challenges that might come up. You just got to keep at it. You know, I know it's not always easy to wake up when you want to, right? It's so easy to hit that snooze button. It's not always easy to kind of, do things in the way that you've planned them out. Life happens. But I tell you, if you have a bad day, you just got to keep on going, because when you keep on going and you are persistent and you just say, okay, fine, this thing happened, but I have a plan and I've got this dream and I'm going to make it into a reality, you will just keep on going. Right now, actually, I am going to do a live on this tomorrow, I think, because it's too much to cover today, because I think there is a really, really important kind of element to all of this, which is in some ways the foundation. How do you work out what your dream is? Because many people, they pick the wrong dream, they pick the wrong aspirations. They kind of say, okay, it's the whole doctor, lawyer, accountant thing, right? When you're growing up, what happens? Most people want their kids to do that as a job, but sometimes the kids don't want to do it. So what do? They go to university, they qualify as a doctor, they end up sad and depressed in the mid-30s, and then they say, actually, it's not a job that I want to do anyway. So they then have to have a massive career change. That in itself is not a failure, but why would you put yourself in a situation where you are working and studying so hard to do something that you never wanted to do in the first place? So pick the right dream. Yeah. And I think that is something that I'm going to cover tomorrow in the live. I think it's such an important subject. So come back around the same time tomorrow and I'll be here to discuss that. Now, as always, if you've got any questions, I'm going to be around for a few minutes. So if you've got a question, then just pop it in the comments and I'll pick that up. And as you're doing that, let me just flick through and read some of the comments that have come in already. Going over to Facebook first. So welcome, salam to everybody. Fazana, lovely to see you here. Sarah says, agreed, most people have dreams, but they don't have a plan. I think that's the number one big challenge that we have. Fazana also says, our elders always say the word kismet, luck. If a marriage is not good, then it's kismet. If a person is poor, then it's kismet. This is a word which has been rooted deep down in some of the generations. Maybe this is where some people get this thinking. It could be, but I also think, look, that I firmly believe in destiny, right? Kismet, that's it's just another word for destiny. I firmly believe as a Muslim that that the creator, that God has kind of like set things out. God knows what's going to happen before I do, right? What is it that they say? That the ink has dried and the pens have been lifted. Of course, I'm in firm agreement with all of that. That doesn't mean that if I lie in bed every single day for the rest of my life, that is kismet. Come on. People use that as an excuse. People will say stuff like, oh, I don't want to pray today because it's been written for me, because it's my kismet. I mean, seriously? Like, there is a line that needs to be drawn between the reality of kind of like accepting your situation and then getting up and doing something about it, because too many people make too many excuses and they blame something else. And so if, for example, sometimes marriages are going to be poor, right? We don't just sit there and live in a difficult, complex situation for the rest of your life. You decide to do something about it, right? It's not always going to be easy. Believe me, I've seen it. It's not easy. But just sitting there and not doing anything, that in itself is going to be something that you have to answer for, right? So it many people will disagree with me, and if you do, it's perfectly fine, right? It is inexcusable for people to be lazy and not to want to change their life if their situation is bad, right? And that change can come from lots of different ways. If you are in an extreme situation and you are unable to pretty much do anything, then of course there's one thing that you can do. The easiest thing for anyone to do is to pray, right? And I'm not saying that as just kind of like some kind of random thing. I really believe if you want success, you've got to pray for it. If you want to achieve something, you've got to pray for it. Whatever your dreams are, you have to pray for them. That is part of the foundation of everything in terms of you having that plan and having the persistence. Because if, I mean, gosh, I go to so many fascinating trainings and things where I see people who have no belief at all in God still praying and asking what they call the source or the energy or nature, or and they still ask for assistance from another source, right? So if people who don't believe in God are doing that, then why don't the people who do believe in God, why don't you pray um for your dreams to become a reality, or for your situation to become easier? So I think, I really do think that there is going to be a generational shift. And I see it happening already when it comes to that whole thing about really understanding the kind of technicalities around kismet and luck and all of that. Because I'm sorry, I think some of these things that have existed in the past, they have taken too much control over the reality of what people are actually able to do, and there's got to be a change. Okay, so Abdul Kadir is saying he's done a lot of plans but confused where to start and resources. Okay, so this is going to be something that I cover in a live as well. I've got a list now of subjects that I want to cover, and planning and how to plan is definitely on that list because I think it's so important. So do make sure that you come back. I mean, it feels a bit strange saying this, but set your notifications. I don't know how you do it. I can't remember, but somewhere on whichever feed you're watching, set it so that when I go live, you get a notification, and then you'll be able to participate in that and feed into that conversation as well. And so thank you guys over on Facebook, over on Instagram. It's lovely to see you here, Abu Natasha Bizesulik. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Zaina, lovely to see you. Scott Foundation, lovely to see you here. Asabicio, nice to see you. And M. Dre Jenin, great to see you guys. I think that's it. No comments over here on YouTube just yet. Right, lovely to see here. I'm loving spending time and hanging out with you. And just before you guys go, let me tell you one thing. I really appreciate you, and I believe in you, and I believe in your ability to be able to do all of those crazy things that you want to do and to deliver on your dreams. And I just want you to believe in yourself as much as I believe in you and in your ability. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum. Okay. Oops. Now then, what? Here we go. Instrument.